Okay, in the name of Jesus, we continue the study. Today is Friday, the last 4th day of NYTS this year. And you just finished your test. So hopefully you find out yourself something you are not complete understand or remember. You can make up yourself later. Because the test is only an indication for yourself to know how much you have learned and how much you have not get it. So it is, I think it's a self-evaluation. It's not the matter how high or how low your score is. Counselor or preacher doesn't really look at your score. But just for yourself to know whether you really understand or not, or whether you pay attention in the class or in your homework. So hopefully you really gain something, and you can tap back after these 2 weeks of gathering here in Ontario Church. We really have a fruitful and very meaningful 2 weeks here. Okay, so let's just jump to conclude the Exodus. Well, I think the chapter I mentioned here just for your reference. Eventually, you have to know yourself. So this is a whole life long of learning and study, Bible study. Chapter 25, and start, this is God's command for the tabernacle. And then you list all different kind of instruments. Ark, table, lampstand, and then curtains, boards, and veil. All different kind of items in the tabernacle. Altar, courtyard, hangings, and even the nail. Then the clothing for the priest. The priest clothing is a big section, and the clothing represent God's workers, and there's a lot of the meaning inside. So this is all in the Bible, and we can study in depth. So 29, consecration of the priest and the sacrifice of offering. The priest, before they can start the service, they have to be consecrated first. And this is a starting point of the priest. This is a kingdom of priesthood. In chapter 30, God's commandment for the instrument to be made about altar of the incense, laver, and anointing oil, and then the incense. From the hardware, and then you gradually see the software about including the clothing, and the incense, the oil, and everything. God defined and commanded how to make it. In chapter 31, the appointed person to make the instrument and the observance of the Sabbath. The Sabbath become the evidence of keeping the covenant of the Lord. So today, if we keep Sabbath, we show others now we really belong to God because we follow God's commandment, and also we receive the rest and blessing of the Sabbath. Okay, the appointed person. So this is, I think God called the name. God knows who can do what. So chapter 31, this is what God said to Moses on the Mount Sinai. See, I have called by name Bezalel, the son of the Uri, the son of the Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And God's Spirit say, I have filled him with the Spirit of God. in wisdom and in understanding, in knowledge, and in all manner of the workmanship. So this person can understand what God said. God just described it, the items, the instruments, and then he knows how to make it correctly. So this understanding, this wisdom comes from God. God uses his spirit to fill and then to inspire him. So then he make it. So this is just like an architect. God is the designer, and then now there's someone have to carry out to put the God's design become a real thing. So this is very important. And God called his name. So he belonged to tribe of Judah. And God also prepared him a helper. So in verse 6, God also separated the one. Behold, I have given him is Aholiab, the son of the Ashisenmark, right? The tribe of Dan. From another tribe, God prepared him a helper. Put together, so two are better than one. God prepared the co-workers for Bezalel, so they can direct all of the Israelites to make all the instruments. So these two are just the mastermind. They are the architect to direct people to do work. Not necessarily everything are made by them, but they are the one to give order to do what and how to make it and assemble together. So this is a key person of building the tabernacle. Okay, and then 32, the chapter 32, the chosen people who sinned greatly at Mount Sinai, and the mediator who intercede for them, Moses. 33, the intersection of moving God and the grace of beholding God's glory. The intersection of moving God. So the intersection of Moses touched God and changed God's mind. It doesn't mean God didn't love the people. So the Bible describes how powerful the intercession of Moses is. Okay? So the Bible gives us an idea. If we really love someone, we will intercede for the person, and God will respond to our intercession. So this is our God, and this is loving and kind. And God is easily to be touched. He can be touched through our intercession. 34, God called Moses up to the mountain the third time for making a covenant with the people. Why is the third time? Because the first time is in chapter 19 until chapter 24, right? God called Moses up to the mountain already, chapter 20. And then Moses came down. So this is in chapter 24. So this is the first time he went to the mountain and then come down to make a covenant with the people. And then second time he went up to mountain, God called him. So in chapter 24, you see how Moses also took Joshua as his companion, but Joshua had to stop in the middle, and only Moses can continue up to the top and to see God face to face, and God deliver His law and the commandment, and it eventually the stone of tabernacle given to him and carried down to the Israel. So this is the first time, but unfortunately the tabernacle was crushed because of his anger. And then the third time God called him again up to the mountain. So this is the third time, and God made a covenant with the people, and you see how the skin of Moses' face turned shine to the people, and this after continuing to talk to God, and this is the effect. Okay. 35, the chosen people build the tabernacle. Now, real action. So, observe the Sabbath and then offering gift out of the boiling hot. So you see how Bible describe it. In chapter 31, God used the Sabbath as evidence. Okay? Look at the chapter 31, verse 13. You speak to the children of Israel, saying, Verily, my Sabbath you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am the Lord that does sanctify you. It's evidence. So God mentioned to Moses about all the instruction how to make a tabernacle. At the end, God said, keep Sabbath. Keep Sabbath. This is a sign. If they don't keep Sabbath, there's no point for them to build the tabernacle, So this is this is the prerequisite. They have to keep the Sabbath holy, and then honor God's timing and God's setting. Come to tabernacle and then to worship. Okay. And then chapter 35. Chapter 35. Now they are going to take action to make tabernacle ready. So 35, the first beginning. And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel, together and said to them, These are the words which the Lord has commanded that you shall do them. Okay? We emphasize this is very even. So what is the point? Even they are working very hard to build the tabernacle, they still need to honor the Sabbath. So basically, on the Sabbath, on the seventh day, they will stop their working. They honor God's setting, right? Commandment. So 6 days should work be done. But on the seventh day, there shall be to you an holy day, and Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever does work shall be put to death. So meaning, even though now it's an urgent task, doing the job for God, building the tabernacle, honor Sabbath. You stop your work, get a rest on seventh day, and then after Sabbath you continue to work. Keep the Sabbath holy and sanctified. So this is how God mentioned, and from this here, and then people start to offer gifts. So they offer their belongings according to God's design. So they can offer God whatever God named it and God requested. They cannot just offer whatever they want. No, with purpose. If the material being listed, and then your house, you have this kind of material, you offer yourself. If you are willing to offer, nobody will force you to do so. Right? So this verse 5. Verse 5. You take ye from among you an offering unto the Lord. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, an offering of the Lord, gold, silver, brass, and the blue, purple, and scarlet, and fine linen, and the goat's hair. The list continue. Right? So God mentioned what kind of material they need. They need to offer. So they just bring it. If they have, and they are willing to bring to the Lord, then they will be praised. So this is how beginning the work started. Must honor God's working hours, and then offer a material, and eventually you see how the tabernacle being built one after another. In chapter 36, then they make the curtains. So they first make the curtains, boards, veil, hangings, and then make ark, table, lampstand, and incense altar. So 38, and make altar, level, courtyard, and then this is the psalms of the offering and the instruments made. It's just like a summary. 39, the chosen people build a tabernacle. Now it's the garment of priest, and at the completion of the work of the tabernacle. So at the end, they make the garment for priest, especially the high priest. Is a very beautiful garment. Then 40, God commanded to set up the tabernacle and to fill the tabernacle with His glory. So after they finish, they have to wait until God commands it. Then now you start assembly and then set up the tent. So every step they have to follow God's command. God said, "This is the time." Then you really build the tabernacle, and then they start to do it. Every step follow God's command. That's how, at the end, God used His glory to fill this tabernacle. And this is evidence that God accepted their work, and then God is going to abide with them, follow them on the way to Canaan all the time. So it becomes this every time they can come to the tabernacle to meet God and then to receive His instruction and also blessing. Or if they have anything to inquire of God, then go to the tabernacle, and then God will just answer to them through priest, through the mediator. Okay, so this is Exodus. Now let's move on quickly to Leviticus. I think in this class you also learn the offering and the feast. Preacher, teacher already have a class for you, so I believe this is just a reference. I don't need to go repeat it again. So just quickly remind the name of the Leviticus in Hebrew is the calling of God. The calling of God. The very first word in the beginning, the first verse, the calling of God. And then Greek Bible translate into the Leviticus. So Hebrew's name, and then in Greek the title is different. So basically we translate our English or Chinese Bible based on the Greek translation. Author is Moses. So date of writing, approximately 5 months after the Israelites left Mount Sinai. After they started the journey, continue toward to Canaan. And then about 5 months later, covering events of about 50 days. So the Leviticus covered the time, the timeline only about 50 days. How do you know? If we look at the Exodus 40, 17, Exodus 40, 17. It came to pass in the first month, in the second year, okay? The first month in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. Okay, so the second year, the first month, first day, 1月1号, the tabernacle is set up. And then, this is now they have tabernacle. So Leviticus, the message, the law is after tabernacle is finished, then they have to understand the offering, the law, all of the details, right? And then you flip to Numbers chapter 10. Numbers chapter 10, verse 11. Numbers chapter 10, verse 11. And it came to pass on the 20th day of the second month, in the second year, that the crowd was taken up from of the tabernacle of the testimony. So this has become the first. After tabernacle finished, this is the first time they pack everything and then just follow the lead of Peter of crowd, and then continue their journey. So tabernacle established, and then start to move. This about 50 days. And so the book of Leviticus, the cover is while they are still on the Mount Sinai, and then they just wanted to understand. Moses had to make sure everyone understand God's law regarding to worshiping God. So the Leviticus, the content, it just covers these 50 days. So especially in chapter 10, we see how the priests, two sons of Aaron, they offer the profane fire and then they die. They die. So this is the very first. God severely punished the priest first. So you can see, once the tabernacle established, who is the first die of the not following God's command? Priest. Priest die first. Because they're supposed to follow more carefully than others. But unfortunately, they just consider they can do whatever they want. No. So serving God is a matter of their life or death. So that's why today we have to be aware of it. Every time when we are serving the Lord, we better to reflect ourselves, examine our motive and also our action, whether I really honor God or I just want to show off my talent, myself, or I don't care about God's command. Then you will find out. If this motive continue, then the God, if show His anger, then the consequence probably is too heavy for you to bear. So that's why some people, if they don't come to serve the Lord, their faith maybe kept, and they could be okay. But once they come to serve, but the motive changes, or their heart been tempted and go for different direction, and then the servitude will lead them to maybe in the future to perish and to destruction. So it's a serious matter if we look at the incidents in Leviticus. Okay, so this is about background. So introduction, Leviticus is actually a manual of worship for all the people, not only for priests, because of its emphasis on holiness, sacrifice, and atonement. This book has an important message for modern believers. Today, we look at the Leviticus because without holiness, no one can see God. No one can experience God. Hebrews chapter 12, 14, and then 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 5 and 9 repeated to emphasize how important holiness is. So Leviticus, the center is, the center message is, God said, I am holy. You must be holy also. Okay. Without holiness, you cannot see me, you cannot worship me. Okay. So Leviticus shows God's chosen people the way to access God. If we want to approach to God, then God provides a way for you to follow, which has been chosen by God after man being sent out of the Garden of Eden because man sinned against God. So remember, after Adam and Eve was sent out from the Garden of Eden, God used the cherubim, right? And also the flaming sword, 火焰的剑, guarded the entrance of the garden. So from then on, no one can return to the garden to see God, to access, and to receive this kind of original the blessing from creation. God can be so close with the human being. So there's no more. But after this law given, then people now they have access to the law. Again, this is another way. Through offering sacrifice, exactly follow what God wants, and then now people can again come to the mercy seat to talk to God, inquire of His instruction. Okay. So it reveals the way to draw closer to God through serving in holiness and a holy living to manifest people's holy faith. So Leviticus is not only about offering sacrifice, but it also gives us instruction about how to live a holy living style, including your environment, the food you're going to eat every day, right? And then the way we interact with others. So it directs our life, the life of worshiping God, the life of how to keep ourselves holy, and which must be pleased by God. So God gives us the standard. The food you have to eat every day. This is in daily basis. You consider, this is God's design. And if we follow it, then we can maintain the good health. God knows our body, what kind of nutrition we need. So God designed clean, unclean. There's a meaning behind, but at least on the surface, people, if they follow God's command, they just not arguing to say, how come this I cannot eat? It looks so delicious. You don't have to eat that kind of stuff in order to get health. If you want to eat just for your desire of your mouth only, 口腹之欲, but it doesn't help your health. But if we follow what God said, then our health will be maintained and guaranteed. So this is a way God provides for His people to be healthy. Follow God's law is the best way to obtain healthy. Okay. All right. So continue. Sorry. The key verse. This phrase continue, right? Repeat it. You shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Chapter 11, 19, 20, verse 7, verse 26, and 21, verse 8. And then you see how important this is. This is the key verse in Leviticus. Okay, and then the theme of Leviticus, the way of worshiping God, the way. Worshiping God in different motive, right? They come to the Lord, burnt offering. If they have a sin against God, then sin offering. All different kind of need in our life. We always need God, so we have to come to Him according to His instruction, His way. You follow holiness in lives. The relationship between God and man, and between man and man. So this is it directs our human society. So the children, people of God, they will live in very harmonious life. The surrounding, if they are all worshiping God, then basically no one will be poor first. Really, in God's kingdom, if everyone follow God's instruction, really observe it and do it, no one will be poor. No poor. Because God will bless them. Unfortunately, someone just reject. Even the children, people of God, they refuse to follow God's command, and then the end is they become poor. But even though they are still the God's people, right? So at this time, those who are rich have to take care of these poor. Okay? So God also give a chance for those who are rich can practice what God want, is showing love to others. So this is why in the Old Testament already mentioned about loving one another. So love one another is not a new commandment. Actually, in the Old Testament time, it is. Let's turn to chapter 19. Chapter 19. Leviticus 19. Let's read verse 32 first. 32. You shall rise up before the white head, right? 白头发的 and honor the face of the old man, and the fear your God. I am the Lord. And then 33. And if a stranger sojourn with you in your land, you shall not vex him. You cannot just take advantage from him. Okay. 34. But the stranger that dwell with you shall be unto you as one born among you, and that you shall love him as yourself. For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Love others as yourself. Have a compassionate, because in the past you are slave. You are so pitiful in the land of Egypt. Now you has received the blessing from God. God lead you out of Egypt. Now you are free, right? So love others. Love others. Don't take advantage from the strangers, because you has been a stranger before, and God provide and protect you. So do it to others. Okay. The structure of Leviticus. The structure. Law of the offering sacrifice, chapter 1 to 7, is about 5 offerings, right? 5 offerings. The second section, chapter 8 to 10, sanctification of priesthood. Priests must be sanctified first. And chapter 10 recorded the incidents of how the priests perished while they were serving in the tabernacle. They just died. And then God commanded Aaron, you cannot mourn for your sons, right? Because their death come from their own fault, because they dishonor God, despise God's command. So that's the reward of their action. They have to reap what they sow. So as the high priest, why God just command Aaron in that way? Because during that time, Aaron was in the period of sanctification. They have to remain in the tabernacle for 7 days, and his two sons died during that period of time. So since these 7 days belong to God, and they shall be sanctified, so even his two sons died, they cannot just went to mourn for them. Must keep in the tabernacle until they finish this period of sanctification. So this is how God commanded Aaron about the death of two sons. Chapter 11 to 20, live a holy life. So including the food and the environment. And then in case you have a disease, just like a leprosy, how are you going to clean? All of the indication. And basically this must be taught and judged by the priest. Holiness of priest, 21 to 22, holiness of priest. And then 23 to 27, gladness of servitude. You serve God with gladness, but not with the heavy heart, or not with any pressure. Okay, so this is the Leviticus. I think we skip this. Go to the Numbers, because we have a couple of minutes. Numbers. So hopefully we can cover at least the first 5 books. The title, Numbers, is based on the 2 census. Chapter 1 and chapter 26. So Numbers contains 2 census, 数点百姓. Right? So Hebrew title is In the Wilderness. In the wilderness, 在旷野里. So it presents an account of 38-year period of Israel's wandering in the desert, in the wilderness, following the establishment of the covenant of Sinai. After the covenant of Mount Sinai established, they started the journey. And then the whole journey is full of their complaint. Then end up at the end, they have to spend another 38 years to wandering in the wilderness. Why? Those who are unbelief, they set the evil heart of unbelief to God. They must be perished first because they are not worthy to enter the promised land. So this 38 years to circulate, to just circle in the wilderness in order to let those who don't believe God will die first. No one can enter the land of Canaan, and except to those who've been numbered 20 years and older, male, only Caleb and Joshua can enter. So the time is controlled by God. So one event after another. Those who don't believe, have no faith at all, will perish until the time all the men pass. Then time to enter the Canaan. So that's why they spent 38 years. So you see, so many people die during this journey of in the wilderness. Okay. So the day of writing is about just reference. Purpose to the Israelites to document their journey to the promised land. So many things happen in this period of time. To all the disciples of Jesus who God saved as we journey toward heaven. So when we study the book of Numbers, then we must understand this is the book or the example of Israel for the disciples of Jesus. Now we are on the way toward the heaven. So just like we have to learn lesson from the Israel while they are in the wilderness, how they trigger God's anger, and then eventually they perish. They are not worthy to enter the heavenly, the promised land. Then we could be the same. Don't make God angry, and then we lost our privilege to enter the heavenly kingdom. So we must be aware of God's grace. Don't abuse and don't make it a waste. God saved us out of the darkness, and He wants to save us to the end. So at the end, we must be able to enter heavenly kingdom. Don't be like someone fall and fell on the way of this journey. Okay. So the significance of Numbers is it recorded the passing of one unbelieving generation and the rise of the next generation in their journey. The second generation must have faith, strong faith, and listen to God's command to form an army of God. And then they will enter this promised land to conquer the land and to gain this inheritance. Because God already promised to them, you will possess this land as your own. Okay. 40 years of living in the wilderness trained up a new generation that was full of faith and ready to receive the promised land. Their faith been lifted up to the higher level in these 40 years. 40 years. So it takes time to build our faith to God. Our faith can be strengthened after one event and then another. So in our life, no matter what kind of the circumstance we may run into, and this could be a training from God. So learn how to rely on God to overcome it without complaint. But then we learn, we see God's will. Okay, and this is the purpose of studying the book of Numbers. Okay. Continue in Numbers, we see God's judgment, and that's only to rid ourselves an evil heart of unbelief. Evil heart of unbelief. If we don't believe, and this could be the evil heart, 不信的恶心. Even though you may see a lot of miracles, but end up you don't believe, and this become an evil heart, and you know the result, right? If we follow the law wholeheartedly, with submission then we shall enter the heavenly kingdom to receive the imperishable inheritance. Number 5, the first generation live a faith corrupting lifestyle. But so most of them eventually fell in the wilderness. The faith corrupting lifestyle. What? Complaining. Every time they just complain, no matter what, great or small, they just complain first, right? So be careful, be careful. The second generation who live a life of faith, following the law, obediently receive the promised inheritance. So faith and without faith bring different result. Okay. 7, through the book of Numbers, we can learn how God instructs and trains his people to build their faith, which is the most crucial element for entering the promised land. God trained us. So faith is the key. With faith, then we can enter. Because entering the Canaan, they have to fight. They have to really get into all of the battlefield, and then they must be for sure. This is God's promise. Okay, so this is we have to stop here. I think it's finished right there. And the structure Numbers, maybe in the future when we study in the book of Numbers, we can continue to study it. Okay, let's say a silent prayer to conclude.